I can guarantee that a good 80% of you do not have this move in your playbook. The shoulder ball is undeniably the most overpowered yet underrated and underutilized strike move in the entire playbook. Hi guys, welcome back to Level Up Rugby, and today is the long-awaited third episode of the playbook where we're going to be taking a look at and breaking down the shoulder ball. It is an incredibly simple strike move, but is even more effective and almost impossible to stop when ran correctly. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to do just that. There are three key details for three different players to run this move effectively. The first key detail involves our fly half, the number 10. Let's put the attacking players in circles and the defensive players in squares. His whole entire role and responsibility is to engage his opposite man and sit him down. We're not trying to turn him in and go into this space here. We're not trying to turn him out and go into that space here. We are trying to sit him down as if he's on the toilet reading a newspaper. We want him sat down, and I'll come on to the reasons for that when we reach them later on in the video. That's key number one, is to sit down the opposite man. Not try and turn him in, just try and sit him down. Really needs to get a rubber, this is not good. How he does that is again through different means, all involving detail. And as I'll continue to repeat throughout the entirety of this video, we are not running shape. That is the key detail for the entirety of the playbook series. I'm tired of seeing teams run shape aimlessly, not trying to engage anyone. They're just running an unders and overs, or running a playoff 12, or running a shoulder ball for the sake of running a move, just to throw something in there. And of course it does ask the defense some questions, but not enough questions at the top level to create line break opportunities. And these key details are what turn dominant ball carries into line break opportunities, and line break opportunities into try scoring opportunities. Because as always, rugby is a game of inches, and we have to secure as many inches as possible. And these key details, although very niche and small, unlock those smaller details, especially at the top level. So yes, first key detail, 10 goes hard, flat and fast at his opposite man to engage him, and most importantly, sit him down. Not try and turn him in and out, sit him down. An easy way to start that process is with the pass from the scrum half. I'm going to stick number 9 in here. If the pass from the scrum half is flat to the first receiver, it allows him then to engage that first man. If it's a loopy pass, a slow pass, whether it's pulled back, forces him to the inside, all these passes are bad. We need to be out flat in front of the attacking first receiver so he can come onto the pass and immediately start that run to attack and engage his opposite man. That's key detail number 1. Key detail number 2 involves our inside centre. As always, we're starting him flat, as I'll come on to explain later, and he is trying to engage and draw out his opposite man. He's not trying to sit him down, he's trying to draw the defensive 12 away from the defensive 10. Now, how you go about doing that actually depends on the defensive selection from the opposition. If they run a man-to-man defensive system, the way that the 12 can automatically move his opposite man out the way is through his initial spacing and positioning before the ball even comes into the scrum. The 12, all he has to do is move his positioning over to the side, over a little bit wider, and the defensive 12 will have to follow him. He'll either line up on his inside or outside shoulder, depending on the defensive selection from the opposition, and therefore the space is automatically created. However, alternatively, if they're not running a man-to-man defense, they may be running a zonal defense. And in that case, we resort back to our initial positioning, again, slightly narrower, as I'll come on to later. We start with our initial positioning, because zonal defensive spacing isn't in relation to the opposite man, the attacking player, it's in relation to the inside and outside defender. You only leave as much space between defenders that you are capable of defending. You don't move all the way out here if you're incapable of defending that space. Your spacing is in relation to your teammates rather than the opposition. So this defensive 12 knows that, okay, I can cover this much ground. If he moves out, I'm not going to go with him because he's creating a hole here that I can't cover. So I'm going to stay connected with my inside defender, not worry about this guy. I'm going to let him do his thing and let my outside guy take care of it. I'm going to look after my space. Let me know if you want a full breakdown of the different kinds of defensive shapes and systems, because it can get a bit complicated. And again, the niche detail can really make a good defense great and a great defense impenetrable. So yeah, let me know if you want a full detailed breakdown of defensive systems. However, if there is a zonal defense and the defensive 12 is looking after his space here, the 12 has to use his movement to get him out the way. So what he's going to do is he's going to start square and arc his run to the outside and attack this space here between the defensive 12 and the defensive 13. That way, it'll drift the zone of the defensive 12 out and create this space here that we're trying to unlock. Thirdly and finally, and arguably the most important detail of this entire move, involves the blind side wing. His role and responsibility is to stay tucked and hidden for as long as he possibly can. He's staying in this space that he immediately starts in. As always, with every strike move in the playbook, we start in the same flat 3 formation. The reason for this is that it automatically, instantaneously asks the defense questions. First and foremost, who is the recipient of the pass? When you have a flat 3, all 3 attacking players are potential recipients. And that immediately starts asking the defense questions. Who's going to receive the pass? Is it going to be a flat pass across the face of the front 2 to the attacking 12? And then they run a play off 12 off of that? Or will it be to the 10 in a regular play and they're going to run a narrow unders and overs with the 12 coming short with the winger at the back? Is it going to be a dummy switch pop option with the ball again going to the first receiver? Or alternatively, is the 9 going to break and the blindside wing comes on a switch line into that space here to hold the back row? Is it more so that the ball goes straight from 9 to the blindside wing and he attacks in the space up here? Automatically, we are asking the defense questions. We are no longer running shape just for the sake of it. We're now asking them these questions, which creates a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of fear, which then results in the defense making somewhat irrational decisions. We are manipulating them rather than just allowing them to stand still and defend us. We're asking them those provocative questions that result in us turning them in and out, sitting them down, doing what we decide. We are dictating them now, rather than them just backing off. So yes, immediately we're asking questions in our front flat 3 formation. And the key detail here is that the blindside wing stays tucked for as long as possible. He's hidden. There are a few different reasons for this. First of all, it allows him to access any part of the pitch almost that he wants. In this position, he can first and foremost run an inside ball line, just a regular inside ball off 10 to attack this space here. He could run an unders line outside the attacking 12, with the 12 coming short this time, to then run a double narrows, unders and overs. Again, it's a possibility. Or, in this case, alternatively, he's going to run a shoulder ball line into the space just outside the first receiver. Let's color that one in. That is the key line here. That is ugly as hell, but yeah, you get the picture. He is running a shoulder ball line, not an unders line outside the 12, a shoulder ball line in the space between the 2 of them. The second reason for his tucked positioning on the inside of the first receiver is to hold the back row and defensive scrum half. So let's put them in here. Here's the 7 in the box because he's a defender, and 9 in a box because he's also a defender. By staying in this position, he holds those inside players. Now this immediately preserves space on the outside. If the defensive players here can shift across, it allows the rest of the defense to slide and contain the attack. By holding his position here, it allows him to hold those defenders and prevents these guys from sliding and covering the shifting move. The third and final key detail for why he must stay tucked and most importantly hidden for as long as he can is because otherwise he gives the move away and allows the defense to reassess what's going on and reorganize to contain the attack. Say that if he breaks out too early, it can allow the defensive 12 to bite in and say, you know what, the time it takes for that pass to get across to the 12, I back myself to readjust and get out to that position. So what I'm going to do, I see him coming into this space here, I'm just going to stay here. and just bite in. The length of the pass gives me time to adjust, and I back my outside defence to look after this 12 on the outward arc, who's going to try and link up with the outside players. Alternatively, if the blindside wing gives away his position again, it allows the back row to look after the 10 to slide onto the wing, and blah, 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 down the line, everyone's slid across one, and the move is contained. You might as well just run hands at that point. So yes, it is important, it is vital, critical, that the blindside wing stays tucked and hidden for as long as he can. But until when? When does he break out of this position? Well, let's run through the move. The 10 goes hard and flat to engage his opposite man, sitting him down on a toilet rather than turning him in and out. The 12 draws his opposite man out of the way, and the blindside wing stays tucked and hidden until the very last second. That is when he breaks out of his position. That is when he breaks into the shoulder ball line. Once a defensive 10 has been fully sat down on his toilet reading the newspaper, once the 12 has been drifted out, that is when the blindside wing breaks into the space on the outside of the fly half. Only at that point can we play this pass. If the pass is given too early, the defensive 10 can slide across and everyone down the line slides, containing the attack. If he comes out too early, the defensive 12 might bite in, alternatively looking after this move chronologically down the line. So yes, the pass must be left till the last second. The blindside wing stays tucked and hidden until the very last second, until that ball is ready to be given, because the defensive 10 is sat down and the 12 is out the way. And then the attacking 10, the fly half, the decision maker, has a decision to make. If, as I mentioned, the defensive 10 drifts across and slides onto the shoulder ball line because he's read the move and he's predicting something, and the attacking 10 takes that space on the inside. It's a little step, bang, into that space, takes the space, maybe giving an offload to the winger, whatever's going on from there. Alternatively, if he has got the back row out the way by going flat, fast and hard to his opposite man, then it all revolves around the attacking 12. If the attacking 12 has then predicted the play and taken a gamble and bites in on the shoulder ball, he's just taken a guess that this is where the ball's going, then the ball goes across the face to the attacking 12, who then links up with the attacking 13, who are all now on the outside. The defensive 13 will bite in here, the attacking 13 can take the space out there. It could be an unders and overs move with the 15 here. Whatever happens here, there's going to be space and numbers on the outside. I wouldn't worry about that. That's a separate bit. This is the most important bit of detail here. So if the 12 does bite in, we access those wider channels with a wide flat pass across the face of the attacking 12. Or realistically, what's most likely going to happen is that the 12 draws out and the space is in here for the attacking blindside wing on the shoulder ball line. It's that simple. Yes, guys, it really is that simple. But as always, the devil is in the detail. As I mentioned, and as everyone seems to mention, rugby is a game of inches. An inch can be the difference between a dominant tackle, a passive tackle, a line break, or even a try scoring opportunity. So if we get these details right, we have a much greater opportunity of turning this move from something that's good to something that's great, to something that's incredibly effective, to something that is unstoppable. Those key details are what give teams, especially at the top level, those small little inches that turn a shirt being grabbed into a full line break, or turning a dominant tackle into a passive tackle and potentially an offloading opportunity. Those small details count the most the further up the ranks you go. So you need to get these things right in your team now. Stop running shape, start running moves effectively. Some of those additional devilish details are that the fly half realistically cannot look to give the pass. This move is run entirely on spacings and timings. The 10, as soon as he looks to give that pass to the outside, gives away the move. Automatically, this winger that was once hidden has had his position given away by the 10 looking here and giving the pass. The 10 has to maintain eye contact with his opposite man to engage him and sit him down, and then lift the pass into the space without looking at the perfect time. And that timing comes as a result of practice and training. You're not going to get that timing spot on just by running this move. And the only way to run this move that effectively, at the very top level of effectiveness for this move, is if the fly half doesn't look. And the way he does that is by practicing that pass into the space on his outside shoulder for the blindside wing to take and then make the line break. The 10 realistically cannot look to give this pass. He has to trust the spacing and the timing that as soon as he sat down his opposite man at the very last second when they're face to face, he trusts that the blindside wing has the right timing and the right spacing that he always does in practice to lift that ball to his outside shoulder, probably at about a metre and a half distance, to then take that space that's been created by the 12 moving his opposite man out the way. And the second additional devilish detail then involves the 12. The 12 has to do whatever he can to move his opposite man out the way. We already mentioned about how it differs depending on the defensive option, whether it's a man-on-man defence or zonal defence. But whatever defence they run, you have to do whatever you can to move your opposite man out the way. Immediately, the first way you can do that is with your initial positioning, before the ball's even put into the scrum. You have to remember that strike moves don't only happen in one phase. They happen before that phase even begins. Before the ball's even put into the scrum, you can start moving around your opposite man. Alternatively, additionally, the strike move begins before this passage of play. It starts with the previous 80 minutes you've just been playing, or however many have been by. Realistically, you can start painting pictures to the defence, start saying we're going to go do this. You can tell them that we've hit them up 3 times on the middle now, they're going to go play wide, or they've gone to the edge every single time, they're going to keep on doing that. They haven't kicked the ball once yet, or they've kicked the ball first phase every time. You can start asking them these questions that immediately start the game of chess of how you're going to open up this space here. It's all one big game, the macro and the micro. The macro of it is the previous phases leading up to this one, and the micro is that individual detail. So again, if you want me to break down the macro and micro manipulation tactics that I use in my game and I get my players to use in theirs, let me know down below in the comment section. But yeah, in the case of this, the macro setting is the previous phase has gone by. What have you done previously? What assumptions are the defence going to make their decision making easier? Because at some point you've got to take a gamble if you want to make a defensive read or even just contain an effective attack. Or alternatively, in the micro, what are you going to do to manipulate your opposite man? Now again, I'll give away a few of the micro manipulation tactics. As a fly half, for example, I've previously gone, space in the backfield over to the right. It shifts everyone in, moves that winger back. Sometimes the defence thinks it's a double bluff. They go on then, mate, kick the ball there. And they don't do anything. And again, you're just asking these questions. What the defensive 12 can do here is just point to that space and just say, I'm going to get on the outside, and say it so overtly that the defence actually hear what you're saying and think, I don't think you knew we heard that. And then they're going to try and move it, or they think you're double bluffing again. And they go, you know what? We're not going to do it. And they stay where they are. And that's when you have the opportunity again. The key detail here is to move the defensive 12 in whatever way you can. Another good way, simply eye contact. If you've run down that channel 3 times of first phase strike moves so far in the game, he's going to be expecting it. So eye him up, get in his head, and then you maintain that eye contact as you drift out. And then before you even know it, before he even knows it, we've gone straight through the middle because he's drifted on the out. So it's micro little details of manipulation that can open this space here. And again, you don't have to do them. But at the top level, where it's a game of inches, you really have to take any additional opportunity you have. And those micro details make all the difference. And yes, just to re-emphasize, the third additional devilish detail is that blindside winger. He has to stay tucked and hidden for as long as he possibly can. I can't emphasize that enough. If he moves out here, it gives the whole entire move away. This move wholeheartedly relies on that blindside wing. Again, to re-emphasize, this move is entirely based on timing and spacing. It's not about running into a move because you've read a defender's doing this or that or the other. It's just about running the same pattern you've done before whilst engaging those defenders. So yeah, there are 3 of the devilish details that turn this attack from being good into something that's being great. So yes, as mentioned, this is the first phase iteration of the shoulder ball strike move. As I mentioned at the start, I'd be surprised if you've seen it, because a lot of people neglect this move. It is so simple, but so effective, as I mentioned, if ran effectively correctly. I dislike any one-dimensional first phase move. Realistically, the flat pass across the face to the 12, it's a difficult pass to make. It's vulnerable to interception. It does have that one out, but realistically, it is more of a hit-up move. However, there are other contexts it can be ran in. So let's break down a few examples of how else a blindside wing can run a shoulder ball line in a game and get more game involvements. That's another thing this move does. It gets a lot more touches for our blindside wing. Rather than standing out in the wing, being really cold, you're getting involved in the game, you're having an influence, you're having an impact, you're asking questions, you're engaging defenders, you're creating try-scoring opportunities. Let's get into those broader contextual situations. Example number 1 of how the shoulder ball can be deployed in alternative examples and contexts is just in general open play. So for example, when playing off of 10. So say we have our edge breakdown here, the 9's in here playing scrum half. We have our defensive options. We have our fly half. Let's say we're running a 1-3-3-1 shape, a common typical shape you're going to find. Again, if you don't know what that is and you want a breakdown of attacking systems and shapes, let me know down below and I can do something on that for you. But yeah, let's just say we've got forward 1 in the middle, forward 2 presenting himself, and forward 3 a little bit more tucked here. So this is our common shape we'll find. Let's just put a second decision maker in the boot there. And let's say they're doing a man-on-man defensive system, which is much easier to deploy a shoulder ball strike move against. So they have, let's just say they have pillar here. Let's call that typical terminology pillar. Let's say A is to the inside shoulder of the first man, B is to the outside shoulder, and then we'll just go from there. So C will just be in that space there, D, blah, 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 so on and so forth. They're to the outside shoulder of their opposite man. So hopefully you can already see where the blindside ring is going to get involved here on a typical shoulder ball line playing off of 10 in general open play. We're going to start him off here. If he's not already in that breakdown, he's come off his wing looking to get involved in the game. Now he could, again, asking questions of the defense, run an inside ball here, try and hold these defenders, but they're going to be held anyway by the 9 and just his presence there. He could run an unders line out the back here, push the 12 round, and again create an additional number in the wider channel. Or alternatively, we could run the same shoulder ball move, the same principles apply, you'll have the same call for it, where the call is that these forwards are going to drift on an outward arc, the same with the inside man, and then the blindside wing, staying tucked and hidden for as long as he can, breaks into this space outside the attacking 10 as soon as he's engaged the B defender. The B comes in here. Again, it's a little bit different because there's no direct opposite man. We're trying to sit down. You can generally adapt to the context. And yeah, he's trying to get into this space up here, obviously, on that shoulder ball line, staying tucked and hidden. Everyone's drifting out that way, and he comes clean through the middle. Really simple example. Same principles that you've heard previously still apply. I'm not going to rattle them all off again. We've gone through enough of that detail already. So yeah, that's how you run that move in open play whilst playing off of 10. Another example where you can run this shoulder ball strike move is back on first phase again. Rather than playing off of 10 in open play, we're going to play off 12 on first phase. And you've seen this already. I'm going to break it down for you, specifically looking at the shoulder ball. We've mentioned the shoulder ball's involvement in a play off 12. We haven't actually specifically looked at it. So let's have a little look. We're going to go back to our 9 here. We're going to have a flat line, as always, of a 10, blindside wing and inside center. Again, asking those questions of the defense. We're going to have our 10 here in the square, 12 opposite in the square, 13, and then our attacking 13 here. 15's wide, along with the 14 on the edge. Again, typical standard setup for a strike move. We start in the same positioning every time. 15 is always wide on his 15. Why he's called the 15. It's not actually why he's called the 15. We just put him on the 15, so just remember that. The open side wing is off the pitch. We want him on that sideline, off the pitch, to stretch the defence as much as possible. Again, asking questions. Is it a cross-field kick? Are we going to mark him? Are we going to open up the spaces in the middle? Because we need players to be always contributing. As I'll mention, when we break down attacking shapes, we need attackers to always be contributing at all times. Standing out here, you are still contributing. You are supporting the space. The space is being supported out here, which creates disconnects in the midfield as the defenders have to stretch themselves more thin, leaving opportunities through the middle. So yeah, supporting the space, supporting the ball. We'll cover that again in more detail when we look at attacking shapes. So yeah, we'll start in our flat front three, but this time the ball goes across the face of 10 and the blindside wing to the attacking inside center, who again engages his opposite man. If you want the full breakdown of the play off 12, an incredibly effective strike move, then check it out. It's already on the channel. I'll leave a link for it down below. 13 goes opposite man. If you doubt that they're able to do that, then go and check out my specific breakdown of this move. You can see countless examples of teams doing exactly this. It is possible to eradicate the defensive 10 following those details. So yeah, go check out that video. if you don't believe me. The 10 is going to come around the corner here. We're going to engage up here with the 14. So the ball comes out the back. As you can see already, hopefully you're not blind to it. The blind side wing is going to come around here and attack this space outside the attacking 10. Going to square up here as the attacking 10 squares up into this space. Everyone squares up. The 15's on the 15, squaring up. For the long ball option, the open side wing's there for the double long ball option. So now the 10 has 3 other options outside himself. You can play a shoulder ball here, you can go for the long ball option there, or go to the double long ball option there. The blindside wing, as we can see here, is the additional number that creates the opportunity. And you'll see in a lot of the examples where the attacking team has failed to properly engage the defense and people have been able to slide, that the attacking blindside wing here is actually what's created the additional man that's scored the try or created the space for an alternative attacker. Without him here, there's only 2 options, and if everyone slides and get across, the opportunity is looking a lot less likely to be successful because of that slide. And it might turn even a try-scoring opportunity into a passive tackle. Of course, that's better, but of course we need that extra additional detail of the blind side wing here to create that additional number, rather than standing blind on the blind side here or just out the way. We want to get him involved in the game as much as possible because he's an attacker. We can get him supporting the ball rather than just supporting the space out here, because realistically, if there is a little blind side here and we put him here, someone's going to go in the boot. Realistically, 10 will go in the boot here, and then everyone can just slide across still anyway. Yeah, there's no real point in doing that. The key detail here is to get the blindside wing involved and create an additional number in the attack. That's another example of how you can use the blindside wing on a shoulder ball line to create try-scoring opportunities. So the third and final example of how you can deploy the shoulder ball in alternative contexts is whilst attacking and probing around the breakdown, predominantly when we're in short range, the try line, and there's those pick and goes coming around the corner. So let's set up our breakdown here. We have our forward pod options here in a flat 3 again, so that the 9 can pick off each and every one of them individually all at once. So yeah, we have our flat 3 here. We have our pillar defender here. We have our A defender here to the inside of the first receiver. We have B to the outside of the first receiver, C to the outside of the second, and D to the outside of the third. Let's say they're running a man-on-man defense here. They could be running a zonal defense with this positioning, but either way, it doesn't really make a difference to us. We're going to exploit them anyway. So yeah, our forward options all on the out as our first receiver and decision maker squares up, getting outside the pillar, squaring up on the A defender. That is our regular setup for the shoulder ball. Finally then, the blindside winger, as always, most importantly, he's actually on the blind side this time. He is so well tucked and hidden because he's on the inside of the decision maker and ball player. Our 10 will still be here. This time he's not tucked in this space here because it's of no use to us. The shoulder ball this time is being ran off 9. So therefore he's tucked on the inside shoulder of 9, which is also known as the blind side here. As 9 breaks and attacks and sits down his opposite man, and the forwards drift out their opposite men. As you can see, as always, the space is through the middle there for our ball carrying winger. So for example, it's a good example of Joe Cock and a Singer running this line. It's designed for those bigger wingers who want to get more touches and get involved around the breakdown in those close quarter situations. Realistically, this along here is the try line. That's a try scoring opportunity there. So that's again another example of how easy it is to deploy a shoulder ball, but how effective it can be when you get those key details right. We see the same shape, the forwards drifting out, the 9 squaring up, and the blindside wing staying tucked and hidden. It's that easy. Get wingers involved in the game more. There's just so many more opportunities when you're asking this many questions as a defence. You ask this many questions continuously over and over again, and at some point they're going to get one wrong and you're going to get an opportunity to score a try. That's how you use your tactics to create those try scoring opportunities. Of course, then it comes down to your technical ability to execute those tactical opportunities, whether you can give that pass well, get through and get your hands free and give an offload, whether you have the footwork capabilities to engage defenders. That's the technical stuff. If you haven't seen my level up game breakdown, the pyramid, if you haven't seen that, go give that a watch because it ties into all of this. It all ties together. But yeah, this is how you tactically exploit teams. Of course, you have to have the technical and functional ability before that, but I cover that in all my other videos. So yeah, the shoulder ball off 9, simple stuff. So yes, guys, that is the shoulder ball done. Let's put a little tick up there. Done. We finally got round to ticking off the third episode of the playbook. If you want the previous 2 episodes, I'll leave them linked down below. Episode 1 is on the unders and overs, essentially the pick and roll of rugby, the most important strike move you're going to have. Secondly, we did the playoff 12, which is arguably an equally effective move to the shoulder ball, but a little bit more complicated. And then episode 3, we've done the shoulder ball. Episode 4, when we get round to phase 4, is going to be on the dummy switch pop, most likely. Again, a classic move that is so commonly run ineffectively. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. Let me know what else you want to see down below in the comment section. And other than that, guys, cheers for tuning into Level Up as always. I appreciate your support. Please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if this is more of the stuff you want to see. If it's not, leave a comment as well. Tell me what you do want to see, and I'll bring those videos for you guys. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something more importantly. And yeah, guys, I'll see you next time.